The Moon Desert. For as long as there have been little children in this world, parents have faced the same task every night, helping them drift off to sleep. So you see, you are not alone. Many children find it hard to fall asleep right away when evening falls. A wise old Swedish troll had observed this for a long time and wondered to himself, what can be done to help? So the troll took up his walking stick and set off on a great journey, for he was determined to find a solution, even if it meant wandering to the very ends of the earth. After traveling 100 times 100 miles, he finally drew near to his goal. There, in the furthest, most hidden corner of the world, he discovered the Moon Desert. No one else knew of its existence. It was named so because it was filled with as much dust and fine sand as the moon itself. But there was a curious secret to the sand of the Moon Desert. If even the tiniest grain of it touched a child's eyes, they would grow weary at once and fall into a deep, peaceful sleep. The old Swedish troll was delighted with his discovery. But a new problem quickly arose. How could he possibly bring this magical sand to all the children? There were so many children in the world, and he would have to carry vast sacks of sand every single night. The troll sat down and pondered. Even if I ran back for 100 times 100 days to tell my fellow trolls of my brilliant find, we still wouldn't be enough to carry it all. What am I to do? He watched the desert closely. For 100 times 100 days, he observed how the Moon Desert lay under the sky, how the sand shifted, and how it grew scorching hot by day and freezing cold by night. And then, after watching with great care for 100 times 100 days, he grew certain the sand was moving, or rather, someone or something was moving it. Dunes that stood in one place were gone the next morning. Valleys were filled in, and new mountains of sand rose where none had been before. The Moon Desert was in a state of constant, swirling change. Now he had to find out who was behind this. Perhaps he could speak to them and ask for their help in carrying the sand to the tired children. One thing was clear to the troll. Whoever was moving the sand was invisible. To catch a glimpse of those who could move such great mountains of sand in the dead of night, the troll pulled his magic cap low over his head. With the cap, he could see as clearly in the dark as if it were bright noon. Then he lay in wait. It took 100 times 100 nights. But finally, through the power of his magic cap, the troll saw them. It was the Wind Fairy and her friends. They were having the most wonderful time, redesigning the desert night after night. They hid treasures deep beneath the sand, and to make sure no one could ever find them, they shifted the dunes so the desert looked different every single day. Soon, even the fairies themselves could no longer remember where the treasures were hidden, but they didn't mind, as long as no stranger ever found them. So, our troll sat there, wondering how to ask an invisible wind fairy for help, a creature who only appeared under the cover of night. He had wandered so far to find a way for the children to sleep. He knew the sand could be moved, and he already had a clever plan for how the wind fairy could bring the slumber dust to the children. But how should he approach her? He put his magic cap back on and watched the fairies at their work. It took another 100 times 100 days and nights before he finally saw his chance. Only a true troll has the patience to wait, watch, and remember the things that humans would never even notice. For humans rarely take the time to truly understand the world. During his long watch, the troll had discovered exactly where the Wind Fairy and her friends had hidden their treasures. He also knew that the fairies dreaded anyone finding them. And so, one fine late afternoon, just as the light was fading, the troll began to dig. He unearthed the treasures from their many hiding places and piled them all together. Then he sat down upon one of the treasure chests and waited for the darkness and the Wind Fairy to arrive. "Those are my treasures," hissed the Wind Fairy, swirling around him so fiercely she almost blew the magic cap right off his head. "They were your treasures, but I have found them fair and square," replied the old Swedish troll calmly. "You are old. What use have you for my treasures?" the Wind Fairy cried, whirling about him like a tiny storm. "I shall take them back to my homeland and build myself a golden castle, unless—" "Unless what?" whispered the Wind Fairy, suddenly hopeful. That was the moment the troll had been waiting for. He told her of the children's plight and shared his idea. What a joyful sight it would be, he said, if she and her friends could blow just a few grains of the slumber dust from the moon desert into the eyes of the children every evening, so they might fall into a wonderful sleep. "If you help me with this," the troll promised, "I will give up these treasures, and you and your friends can find even better places to hide them." "My goodness," the Wind Fairy exclaimed, "you have thought of everything. No troll has ever spoken to us before, let alone discovered our secrets. You must be a very special troll indeed. Tell me, what is your name?" "I am but the old Swedish troll," he replied. "I know little else about myself." "From this day forward," the Wind Fairy declared, "you shall be known as the Sandman, for you bring to children the sleep they so dearly need." "Oh, I like the name Sandman very much," said the old Swedish troll. "And so that many children may benefit from your kindness for years to come," the fairy continued, "you shall be granted a life of 100 times 100 years. And we, the friends of the wind, shall set to work every evening at dusk. We will carry the slumber sand into the highest reaches of the sky, so the four winds may blow it down into the eyes of every little child." The troll was well satisfied. He thanked the Wind Fairy and began the long journey home, which took another 100 times 100 days. On his long march, he saw every evening that the Wind Fairy had kept her word. He peered into the windows of the houses he passed, and as darkness fell, he saw the children tucked into their beds, sleeping soundly. And you can be quite sure that they were dreaming of the Wind Fairy and the Sandman.